Shalom, shalom, Israelites. I hope that I find you in good health and full of the zeal of the Lord of hosts. I am here today to inform all Hebrew Israelites of the coming events that are soon to come upon us. The Lord of hosts informed our forefathers that the sun and the moon are for signs and wonders in the heavens and for man upon the face of the earth. Hebrews, there are 3 consecutive super blood moons coming this year, 2019. January 20th, 2019, February 18th, 2019, and March 20th, 2019. The powers that be have proclaimed 2019 the year of return. Hebrews, the return that they are referring to is the return of all African Americans and Caribbeans back to their homeland in Africa. A bill was passed by President Trump in 2018 called H.R. 1242. This bill recognizes the 400 years that we as Hebrew Israelites have been in the Americas as slaves. 2019 is the 400th year of our slavery here in the Americas. There are festivals and celebrations set up throughout 2019 to acknowledge our captivity here in the Americas. Hebrews, there was a festival in Ghana the first week of the new year, the Full Circle Festival, where a large number of African American celebrities gathered to celebrate the year of return. This festival was set up to start the celebrations for the entire year of 2019. Hebrews, long before these events and festivals were set up, a preacher by the name of Pastor Manning informed us of these events. Back in 2012, Pastor Manning put out a video informing us as African Americans that the powers that be would round us up and return us back to the west coast of Africa from whence they captured us back in 1619. Many Hebrew Israelites didn't accept what Pastor Manning was saying, but here we are in 2019, 7 years later, and everything that Pastor Manning said is unfolding in front of our eyes.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Obama's gonna take away your citizenship. Obama's gonna take away the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment of the Constitution, and he's gonna send you and all other black people. Obama with Bill Gates and with Bill Clinton are gonna send you and all other black people to either 2 places. You can stay here in the Western Hemisphere, and he's gonna send you to Haiti, but he's gonna round y'all up from South Central Los Angeles. He's gonna round y'all up from the mega churches down in Dallas. He's gonna round y'all up from the mega churches in Atlanta. He's gonna round y'all up from New York, from Chicago, and he's gonna send y'all back to Africa. That's right. Bill Gates wants y'all out of America. Mark Zuckerberg wants y'all out of America. George Soros wants y'all out of America. And I'm going to tell you something, my friends, and not too many years from now, black people are going to be sent back to Africa, something that many say should have been done shortly after the Civil War. Well, Obama is going to be the one that put the policy in place, destroy the effectiveness of the Constitution, take over all your resources and your property, the National Defense Authorization Act, and anybody can be arrested. What that means is this: all black people are gonna be arrested and gonna be sent back to the West Coast or to the Sahara in Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa, and there'll be nothing you can do about it. You'll have no constitution to call upon. No lawyer can defend you. There'll be no congressman, nor senator, nor judge that will hear your case. You run around here, Bishop Jackson, with Jesse and Al and all these cross-dressers, all of these transvestites, all of these race baiters and race slicksters and hustlers. You run around here and you let the devil get on the throne of the White House. And now, in not too many years, you go read the National Defense Resource Act. Obama owns all property. You read the National Defense Authorization Act. Anybody can be arrested, picked up at any time, and sent to any country, and that is not for white people. It's for black people. He's going to send you back to Africa, and it will solve America's economic problems. It'll solve America's crime problems. It will solve America's industrial problems. He's going to send you black people back to Africa. The National Defense Authorization Act, the destruction of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment of the Constitution. Obama is the son of Satan. I repeat, get down on your knees. Don't lead a press conference to rebuke Obama, but call black preachers and black churches now. You better hear me. You better hear me. You'd better hear what I have to say. You will be within the next 5 years on the west coast of Africa, meeting with your ancestors that sold you more than 300 years ago. You're going back to Africa. You black preacher, you black liars, you're going back to Africa. And T.D. Jakes is going too. You're going back to Africa. That's what Obama's going to do. He's already getting FEMA. He's already getting major transports, and he's already getting FEMA ready to deal with rounding up black people and sending you back to Africa. The son of Satan. Pray. Put on sackcloth and ashes. Pray. And ask God. Ask God to forgive you. And then maybe you'll hear what I have to say. Maybe we can stay in America. Maybe. But the die is already cast. The deal is already in place. He's going to round all your black people up. He's going to round all of you up. You can run to the mountains and try to hide in the mountains if you can. And pray that your flight be not in winter. And woe unto them that give suck during the days when Obama starts rounding up black people and sending them back to Africa under the National Defense Authorization Act. He'll give you money. And Bishop T.D. Jakes will be your president. And Al Sharpton will be the president. And Jackson and others will be presidents of various countries, but you're going back to Africa 5 years from now. South Central Los Angeles will be bereft and swept clean of all black people. Chicago swept clean of black people. You're going back. He's the son of Satan. And I'm James David Manning. I'm the Lord's anointed.
Hebrews, the powers that be, need us in Africa. You would say, why do they need us in Africa? Hebrews, I ask you, did not we build up Egypt during our captivity in Egypt? Exodus 1, verses 10 through 14. Hebrews, did not Nebuchadnezzar take the princes, the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths of the men of Judah and Jerusalem to Babylon, to build up Babylon? 2 Kings 24, verses 14 through 16. Hebrews, did not Spain and England and Portugal bring us here to the Americas to build up the greatest nation ever to exist on the planet? Hebrews, Esau needs the Israelites to try and build this 10th and final incarnation of the fourth beast of Daniel. China, Hebrews, China is that 10th and final beast. There are 10 horns, which are the 10 toes upon the fourth beast. Daniel 7, verses 24 states, and the 10 horns out of the kingdom. The fourth beast, which is Rome and Edom, are the 10 kings that shall arise. The fourth beast shall transform itself 10 different times. Hebrews, we are witnessing the 10th and final transformation of the fourth beast. Hebrews, Rome is Edom. The Amalekite New World banker started building China up back about 20 years ago. They moved all of America's, the 9th horn of the fourth beast industry out. Esau relocated it to China, and now we see China emerging as the final superpower in the world. Esau, China, and Russia need us in Africa in order to make this final system work. Which brings me to my topic for this video, which is Ghost Cities, Echo Atlantis, and Wakanda 1. Hebrews, as I speak, China has ghost cities all over Africa and China. These ghost cities are not being built for decoration, Hebrews. They are being built for us. Remember what Sennacherib, king of Assyria, did to the 10 tribes of Israel in 2 Kings 17, verse 24. The king removed the Israelites from their land and left ghost cities, and then replaced their cities with other nations. Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. A great city is being built in Nigeria on the coast of Africa. Acres and acres of soil is being shipped in to build up the seacoast.
Is a unique new city within a city that's being built on a vast area of land reclaimed from the ocean along the coast of Victoria Island in Lagos, Nigeria. More than 6.5 million square meters have so far been recovered from the sea, with an eventual footprint spreading across 10 square kilometers. The bold vision it represents is uncompromising: to become the future financial capital of Africa. Developed with skill and dedication, Eco Atlantic is raising the standard for quality of life in Nigeria. Aspirational, accessible, and built for success. The making of this remarkable city began in 2006, when the developers and city planners, South Energex Nigeria Limited, a subsidiary of the Shiguri Group, was granted permission to build a preliminary sea wall to protect Victoria Island from flooding. But Lagos state governors saw the merit in going much further than that. They implemented an ingenious idea to overcome 100 years of severe coastal erosion while building a new city on reclaimed land at the same time. The once devastated shoreline was not only repaired but re-established to where it once was, 1.5 miles offshore.
Today, a liability has been arrested and is being converted to a great asset of prosperity.
That great asset is here and now in Eco Atlantic. To make it happen, a second sea revetment, longer, wider and much deeper, and now known as the Great Wall of Lagos, was essential if a new city to save the city of Lagos itself was to be constructed. Eco Atlantic was first propelled onto the world stage when the late Nigerian president Umaru Yar'Adua officially supported the project through his representative during a 2008 inauguration ceremony.
It's my singular honor and privilege to launch the Eco Atlantic City project.
The city is being developed by private financing, with the full backing of both the federal government and Lagos state government.
This is an opportunity to create a new and economically friendly environment, and Lagosians, Nigerians generally are people of very, very exotic taste.
The Great Wall is an 8.5 kilometers long sea barrier, the backbone and guardian of Eco Atlantic. Elaborate testing of its structural design was carried out to the highest standards in Europe. Precise scale modelling proved that the wall could withstand the worst storms expected in 1,000 years. The landfill behind the Great Wall is built up from a mixture of sand and water, which is harvested from the seabed and pumped into target areas, creating about 8,000 square meters of new land every day at full capacity. Not only that, the land self-compacts, making it ideal for construction. In early 2013, at the halfway stage of land reclamation, Eco Atlantic was praised by the former presidents of Nigeria and the United States of America.
The project is a great example of partnership to transform land lost to erosion into a delightful ocean city.
And it will help to diversify the economy of Nigeria, to brand Lagos all over the world, and to create an enormous number of opportunities.
Echo Atlantic holds a place of pride for Nigeria. It is a global city of world-class design and international recognition.
We are on land that has been reclaimed as an asset of prosperity. Today we are at a turning point where the real construction of the city has started. Nigeria is a land of opportunity.
Since then, Echo Atlantic's network of carefully planned infrastructure has been put in place on land so far recovered. Street lighting has also been installed for existing roads and is brilliantly illuminating the night sky. In 2016, Echo Atlantic saw its very first residential tower officially opened and occupied. Called the Black Pearl, it's one of a cluster of 5 magnificent buildings. The first jewel in the Echo Atlantic crown, standing at 24 floors, offering a luxurious lifestyle and investment by Echo Pearl Development.
The Echo Atlantic project, portends to provide over 350,000 jobs when completed. Beyond the fact that it's going to grow the GDP of Lagos, it only means that other investors will draw from the confidence that the investors have put in that project to continue to grow the economy of Lagos.
Not least for investors in Africa's preeminent development project, which is destined to become a crucial part of Nigeria's drive to become a global top 20 economy. If seeing is believing, Echo Atlantic has it all. But it's not until you actually set foot on the solid ground here that the enormity of what's already been achieved can be fully understood and appreciated from all perspectives. Indeed, Echo Atlantic's district planning showcases the best of urban design with an impressive mix of residential and commercial developments. There are more than 10 kilometers of stunning waterfront promenade, while boutiques, restaurants and recreational destinations will create ideal conditions to live, work and play for residents and tourists alike. An international school will offer world-class education in a safe and comfortable setting. First-class healthcare is also an essential, so Echo Atlantic's International Hospital will ensure patients are well treated. And one of the largest shopping malls in sub-Saharan Africa will become a prime destination and icon of style. Life in Echo Atlantic will be exciting from the moment you enter this city. Running through this massive development all the way to the sea is Echo Boulevard here. The boulevard is also home to the business district, covering 700,000 square meters of premium real estate. When complete, Echo Atlantic will be a thriving international hub, driving the growth of Africa and establishing a vital new link to the world's economy.
Lagos is that new destination in Africa where investors should pay attention from 2017. And that's why we're ready to take on the world.
This city in the making attracts a constant stream of high-profile visitors and investors from all corners of the world. And to Echo Atlantic, they are focused on the growth potential of not only Lagos, but Africa as a whole. To that end, Echo Atlantic is a designated free zone under a federal government initiative. A vital addition for investors who want to live or conduct business within the city. There's so much more to Echo Atlantic than creating top-class and much-needed residential, tourist and business space in one of the world's fastest-growing cities. Strategically, Echo Atlantic's smart planning connects all neighbourhoods with major transport routes. Throughout the city, modern and efficient public transport will be integrated with the Lagos waterways to ensure free-flowing movement. An independent water supply, power grid and sewage network ensure the city can efficiently serve the growing needs of its population. City power will be provided by a dedicated power plant. And Echo Atlantic's fibre optic network will be second to none. Additionally, to cope with Nigeria's heavy rainfall, a dependable system of stormwater drainage was put in place, extending some 30 kilometers under the city so far. Echo Atlantic is a colossal task in every way imaginable, and the ambitious vision is now a visible reality. There's much more to see than infrastructure and these rising towers. The developers began growing over 200,000 trees for Echo Atlantic back in 2010, so that the cosmetics of making the city attractive could be ready in good time. When complete, the ongoing citywide maintenance and monitoring will be provided by independent service companies to ensure safe and smooth operations 24/7. Echo Atlantic's bridges, 14 in all, for its roads and additional tunnels for waterways are finished in areas where land has been reclaimed. Carefully planned road systems and pedestrian zones will keep the city congestion-free. Meanwhile, the city's internal waterway system is also taking shape. Preliminary work is substantially complete, meaning that the release of water into the canals is already being planned and prepared. The Azuri Peninsula development is situated in the elegant Marina district and combines the tranquility of the waterfront alongside a sophisticated, pedestrian-friendly centre. The heart of this exclusive yachting marina will be its community, the residents, the businesses based here, and of course the visitors and tourists who will be able to enjoy the best of coastal attractions. At the main entrance to Echo Atlantic lies Echo Energy Estate, which is setting a new standard for residential developments tailor-made for the energy sector. Even as it grows, Echo Atlantic has sprung into life through groundbreaking social and sporting events. Africa's first ever beach polo tournament was born here and drew large crowds to the signature tournament. Echo Atlantic hosts the Lagos Marathon and is now an annual fixture for Copa Lagos, the popular televised international beach soccer tournament watched by millions. As Echo Atlantic reaches out to more and more Nigerians, so too does its reputation and appeal for investment and commercial success. Now is the time to take part in the development of this bold and exciting venture. Discover a city like no other. It is one of a kind. Brent Sadler, Echo Atlantic, Lagos, Nigeria.
Hey Bruce, this construction project is nothing new. Harry built Caesarea Maritima on the coast of Israel, north of Jaffa, as a major harbor city between about 23 and 13 BC. It was a new city, and the writings of Flavius Josephus give the impression that it was a grand city meant to display the greatness of both Herod and Augustus Caesar. Hebrews, Alexander the Greek, built Alexandria, Egypt, a port city located on the Mediterranean Sea in northern Egypt. In 331 BCE, it is most famous in antiquity as a site for the Great Lighthouse, which is considered one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. The ancient port city was the capital of the Greco-Egyptian world, the second largest city in Egypt. Alexandria was called the Pearl of the Mediterranean. The port served as a primary center for commerce and trade linking Europe with the Middle East and all other points along the Mediterranean Sea. It was an important route for merchants and travelers of the ancient times that allowed for trade and cultural exchange between the emergent peoples of the region. Hebrews, the Americans built up New York City in the same fashion as it is being used for commerce and trade all over the known world today. Hebrews, it is nothing new under the sun, because just as Herod built up Caesarea Maritima for the emerging nation of Edom for trade and commerce, Alexander the Greek built up Alexandria, Egypt for the Greco-Egyptians for trade and commerce, and the Americans and the Europeans built up New York City for the commerce. So too is China and Esau, the bankers, are building up Echo Atlantis for the 10th and final transformation of the fourth beast of Daniel. Hebrews, now that Echo Atlantis is in its final stages, the powers that be need to relocate the so-called Negroes, African Americans, who are in fact the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, back to Africa. H.R. 1242 and the year of return of 2019. Just as the Egyptians, Babylonians, Greeks, and the Americans used us, Hebrew Israelites, to build their culture, so also are the Chinese intending to use us to build their kingdom, fulfilling what the Lord of hosts related to Abraham, that his seed would bless all the nations of the earth. Hebrews, in order for China, under the direction of Esau, to do this, they must create an African-American state within Africa. Hebrews and Hebrew Israelites alike, the Edomite bankers in China, has summoned the African Union, the AU, to coordinate the return of the African Americans back to the continent of Africa. The AU has elected an ambassador to call for the African diaspora to return. Dr. Chikoma Kwa is the ambassador that the AU chose. She has been campaigning all over the Americas and Great Britain, encouraging the Israelites in these places to return to Africa. The ambassador, along with the African Union, has created an African diaspora bank in Africa. Hebrews, through this bank, the African Union plans to build 5 African centers of excellence across Africa called Wakanda Villiges. Wakanda being like the city Wakanda in the movie Black Panther. These villages will provide state-of-the-art healthcare facilities using advanced technology and on-site pharmaceutical manufacturing. The Zimbabwe government has pledged 2,000 hectares, whereas Zambia has offered 132 hectares to the African Union for the first Wakanda village. The announcement came on January 8, 2019. The Wakanda One Villages concept expresses a desire by African leaders for all people of African descent, the diaspora, to return home and participate in the building of the continent.
My last conversation with Chairman Zuma before she left, she sat me down and she said, "My sister, I have given you a tremendous platform. That Africa recognizes that for true change to come to Africa, true sustainable change to come to Africa, it must be brought by the children of Africa. And the children of Africa must include its diaspora." Yeah, that's right. That's right. Without that, there cannot be, I repeat, there cannot be sustainable change in your Africa. Your Africa will continue to be exploited. And then what? Is this the Africa that you really want to leave for your children, grandchildren, and generations to come? I don't think so. Madam Zuma said, you must go to the United States and to the Americas. And whatever you need to do, you figure it out when you get out there. Put together a plan to bring them home. And that's why I'm here. Amen. So it is that at the African Mission in Washington, D.C., your Africa House, the place that you must stop and visit every time you go to D.C., we've come up with various projects. But one that's most exciting is the building of our village, which is really a growth point in a small town. Which initially it was village number 1. The plan is to build 5 villages, 1 in each region. And of course, after Black Panther. Wakanda won. We are in the process of registering an African Diaspora Global Fund. It is the fund that I hope you can all participate in. If you're not able to go to Africa, you must own the shares. And that's how you're going to own a piece of your Africa. And for those of you who can offer a service, we want you to get the contract to go build the Africa that you want. Because what has been happening for centuries, they have been building the Africa that they want. What time is up? Because the children of Africa are coming home to build the Africa. We are going to build the Africa that we want. So for those Africans who say, well, I can't go home because home is not what I'm used to, well then build it. Make it what you want. Who do you think is going to go home and build it for you so you can just waltz in? So Wakanda 1 is ready. We should have the fund registered by the end of April, and we will be bringing you information. I'm leaving you here in LA with Sister Alicia and Brother Grant Gochin. Grant, please stand up. Grant Gochin is going to be Grant is from South Africa, and he's going to be our special envoy for diaspora affairs. He's an amazing brother. Along with Sister Alicia, I'm leaving you in very capable hands. The designs for the village will also be ready by the end of April. So you can see for yourself how Wakanda 1 is going to look like. There's going to be a 1,000-bed hospital, a minimum of 3 5-star hotels. There's going to be a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant. Why? Some of you may not know, but over 50% of drugs going into Africa today have zero bioavailability. People are dying thinking they're taking blood pressure medicines, diabetic medicines, antibiotics, when they're taking chalk and sometimes poisonous substances. So a pharmaceutical plant is a must. We're also going to have the housing development that goes with that, the infrastructure projects, as well as a very large farm. Why? We're the continent with over 60% of arable land, and yet your Africa is importing food. How embarrassing is that? So we're going to show the world that Africa is indeed the breadbasket, not only for Africa, but for the world. And we're going to show them, which is why a huge farm is going to be part of your village. Say that again? The village is going to need $5 billion. And don't let that bother you. That's easy. We're going to get it. Oh, yeah. Let me put things in perspective for you. There are about 55 million blacks in North America. It's about another 35 million in the Caribbean. We have about another 150, 160 in Central and South America. If we just take 10 million out of all that, and everybody out of the 10 million pays $10 a month, that's 1.2 billion a year. It is not rocket science. Now make it 20 million paying $20 a month. We are over 5 billion. Are you with me? Yes. It can be done if we set our minds to it. And we've got to believe in each other. We've got to find that love that is deep and wide. So that love can overflow so much that I can love me so much that I can love you, my sister. So hopefully you can love yourself so much too that you can love your sister. And I hope along the way you'll have extra love to love me too. And that's where it's going to begin. So we are here today, my fellow African brothers and sisters. You see, there's a lady sitting in a train out there, and her name is Mother Africa, and she's calling on her children to come back home. I have no doubt in my mind that the children of Africa are hearing that call, and that you are going to join hands like the redwood tree, whose roots are so interconnected that that tree, as tall as it is, it lives to be over 100 years old, because you can't shake it. That's us. I have no doubt in my mind that each and every one of you is going to board that train, and it's sitting right here.
Hebrews, why am I giving you all this information on ghost cities, Echo Atlantis, Wakanda, and Africa? Because, my fellow Hebrew Israelites, Africa is our future. Africa is part of prophecy. We must return back by the way in which we came from our homeland of Israel. Hebrews, we left the land of Israel back in 143 BCE when we were driven out by the Greeks and the Edomites. Hebrews, we settled on the west coast of Africa, where some 1,500 years later, Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 overcame us. Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 states, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Hebrews, just as the Lord of hosts prophesied, the slave ships appeared and scattered us among our enemies. Hebrews, now that we are at the end of our captivity in the Western world, it is time for us as the people of Yah, to return unto him. Hosea 6 verses 1 and 2 states, "Come, let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn, and he will heal us. He hath smitten, and he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day will he raise us up, and we shall live in his sight." Hebrews, 1 day with the Lord is 1,000 years upon the earth. Do the math. Hosea the prophet is speaking to the captive slaves of the day, not Abraham in Genesis 15 verse 13. When Israel went into Babylonian captivity, the Babylonians enslaved them. But when the Lord of hosts turned their captivity, they came out by the Medes and Persians. Cyrus, Hebrews. Hebrews, in this last and final captivity, Israel was enslaved by the Europeans, but the Lord of hosts would turn this captivity by way of the Chinese. Hebrews, the Chinese are in Africa. Hebrews, the Chinese are building up Africa. There are major plans by the powers to be. Esau, the Illuminati, Edomites want the African Americans along with the Caribbeans back in Africa. All these events are being orchestrated by the Lord of hosts. Hebrews, let me give you a scriptural proof of what I'm pronouncing. The bankers, the African Union, and China wants us back in Africa, Ghana, and the west coast of Africa. The Lord of hosts says in Zephaniah 2 verses 9 and 10, which states, "For then will I return the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my supplements, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering." Hebrews, I must ask the question at this juncture. What is beyond the river Ethiopia? Answer being the west coast of Africa, Hebrews. Echo Atlantic City and Wakanda Villiges are located in Victoria Falls, Israelite cities. The Lord of hosts, speaking to Gog and Magog, which is Russia and China, in Ezekiel 38, verses 10 and 11, which states, Thus saith the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall the thing come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. Hebrews, the powers that be, want Hebrew Israelites to populate these ghost cities and Wakanda villages, including Ghana and Echo Atlantis. The cities of Ezekiel 38, verses 10 and 11 are not located in Israel. The unwalled cities are located in Africa, where the powers to be has placed us at the very end of Israel's captivity. Then Hebrews, Zephaniah 3, verses 19 and 20 comes to pass, which states, Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. And at that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said the Lord of hosts. At this point, Micah 7, verses 11 come to pass, which states, In that day that the walls are to be built, in that day shall the decree be removed. And Amos 9, verse 11 through 15 comes to pass, which states, In that day when I will raise up the tabernacle of David, that is fallen, close up the breaches, the walls thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen, which are called by my name, saith the Lord, that doeth this. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I have given unto them, saith the Lord. Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. In closing, I must say, and shine a light on my point, the unwalled cities in prophecy and the walled cities are in two different locations. The unwalled cities are in Africa, consisting of Echo Atlantis, Ghana, and Wakanda. The walled cities are located in our homeland of Israel, the so-called land of Canaan. Shalom, 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 Hebrews.
Being here at the castle, walking through the dungeons, walking through the cells.
They literally took us off these shores.
The female dungeon, the male dungeon, and really understanding and grasping the idea that our ancestors went through crazy emotional turmoil and physical abuse.
So many of our interpretations and narratives have been taken out of context. That Africans worship rocks, they worship trees. No, we understand the life force and the life being and everything in this universe and its connectivity. And we have to return back to our own narratives and our own truth in order for the African spirit to rise. Because just as they suppress that, they suppress you and I, because our humanity is in our culture. So the return represents returning back to the pride and the dignity that we survive with as a people, which is our culture, our story, our heritage. That's what we want to take away from it.
We don't believe in ourselves and we don't believe in our people, but our ancestors, our forefathers, our foremothers, they fought for dear life. And like our tour guide said, we are descendants of the survivors, of the ones who refused to die.
Even researchers have found it difficult to establish the number of captives who arrived alive. captives who arrived alive. We don't know the number. Some claim about 10 million, 50 million, 20 million, up to about 100 million. Out of this, we don't know the number of people who died on the sea. We also don't know the number of people who died in the dungeons like this. And there were over 30 of such buildings along the coast of Ghana, even when Ghana was then known as the Gold Coast. You understand? They named each area after the products they got from that area. So we have the Gold Coast, we have the Ivory Coast. Did you know we have the Slave Coast? We had the Grain Coast in Nigeria, Ivory Coast. We have the Slave Coast between Ghana and Nigeria, Togo and Benin, was known as the Slave Coast. So if they had that number of forts and castles of such nature along the coast of the Gold Coast, what happened on the Slave Coast? We also don't know the number of people who died on their way into the dungeons, and how many people died in the many battles, wars, and raids to capture them. So we can just imagine the number of people who were involved in a trade that lasted for over 400 years.
So literally, they took the African burial ground from New York. They took one remains there with Samuel Carson, the great-granduncle of Sonny Carson from Brooklyn, New York. And they went to Jamaica and brought back Kill Crystal. And they brought those remains back on Ghana Airways. And then we took a boat from Abanzi. So it would be like we were bringing them back across the waters. And something phenomenal happened. When those coffins were there in that village in Abanzi, and they brought out the brothers to lift up that coffin, they could not lift up the coffins. They had to call this priest out and priestesses to find out why couldn't nobody lift up those coffins. They said because the remains didn't want to go back on that ocean. So they had to perform rituals in order to be able to ask permission for those dead remains to go on those waters to be taken home. So all the fishermen in this area made a corridor and brought those remains in on those boats. And we brought them through this door of return. To switch back that whole narrative of no longer the door of no return. The African is triumphant. They called back home the sons and daughters of Africa. And so that door was renamed. This is the full circle. 360 degrees. You come through that door of no return. Organize yourselves and sacrifice and say, you've come back. You've defied the words of those who thought you would never come back. That's full circle. Every voice and sing, 'cause your earth and heaven ring with the harmony of it.
I'm motivated. I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm mad. But I have a new spirit that birthed in me today. We have to fight. We have to continue to fight because they fought and they didn't give up. And we're here because of them. And it is our due diligence and our duty to honor them and to speak their names and to walk in their spirit and to walk in our purpose because they died for us.
Really, they lived for us. If they had not survived, like if you really were to trace our literal DNA back to wherever we come from off this coast, if those persons who are our ancestors would have been the ones who jumped off the cliff or toppled over the boat or were murdered or were killed themselves or whatever, who didn't survive, or who died because of disease or died because of famine. Me, Jay Morrison, Ernestine Morrison wouldn't be here. We wouldn't exist. Eugene Bush wouldn't exist if our direct descendants and ancestors had not survived. We don't exist. Some other African or African in America or African in the Caribbean or African in South America or African Indian or African Australian or wherever out in the diaspora, you might exist, but we don't exist. Had that ancestor not specifically survived.
We are the direct reflection of the genealogy of the most resilient people, of the most strong people on this earth. And we have to walk in that every day.
So this is a call out to all Africans to make a mind, a travel plan, to come back to Ghana, Africa.